Everybody. Before we start, somebody says we should go see Mary Rose in England. That's an old preserved ship, so I'll add that
Okay.
to the list as well.
Oh,
All
Mary
right,
Rose. Is that what they
Mary
said?
Rose.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody, welcome to our webinar on the role of databases in the era of AI. Where it's a joint presentation today with Microsoft and Redgate. And so we are recording this today. If you drop out and you want to see it later, you want to rewatch, please feel free to do that. We'll send you an email link. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. They will get passed on to Ree and myself, and we will do our best to answer them. And then some lucky person today is going to win a pass to the Data Platform Summit or Data Community Summit. So we'll announce that at the end of the webinar. So I am your host today. My name is Steve Jones. I work for Redgate Software. I have been I guess a database professional for 30 some years at this point in time. I work as a DevOps advocate / architect with Redgate. I work with a lot of customers to try to help them figure out what solutions are good or bad or will work for them. But I've been working with SQL Server and other databases for a long time. I founded SQL Server Central, and I continue to try to help people get better at their jobs every day, as a speaker at different events, answering questions online, and all that kind of stuff. My contact information is here. So if you want to get a hold of me, please feel free. I'm happy to chat with people and answer questions, that kind. And then with me today, I've got a longtime friend, Rie Merritt. Rie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Rie Merritt, Principal PM Manager with Azure Data at Microsoft. I am essentially responsible for influencers, so MVPs, RDs, our couple of our user group networks, community all up, and then our engagement at different events. So that's that's how I spend my day, just kind of buried in Microsoft's engagement with the community. And then of course my free time, we had a user group meeting last night. I run Atlanta Azure Data User Group, and am one of the directors of SQL Saturday Atlanta. So my daughter teases me that I need to get a hobby, because it turns out that what I do in my free time is what I do at work, and she says that it doesn't count. So
It doesn't count.
yeah. So, but I was an MVP before I took the job, initially running the MVP program for Azure Data, and then it
Yeah.
just expanded into what I do now.
Yeah. So Rie corrals all us MVPs and keeps us in line. But she does a ton of community work. So if you see her somewhere, please say hi and thank her for all the work she does with us.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
today we want to talk a little bit about, how databases are fitting in the role of AI. And then really we have a lot of stuff from Microsoft coming in well, I think 3 weeks at this point in time. First week in November, we have the Past Data Community Summit. And so let's chat a little bit about what's going on. If you haven't registered for the summit, we'd love you to register and come. Somebody today is going to win a free pass, but this is, I believe, the 26th summit that's taken place. I've probably been to 20 some of them, but it's a huge data conference in Seattle. Microsoft sends a lot of people there as well. You meet people from all over the world that are doing the same job you do. So if you haven't registered, please think about registering. Tell your boss it's a great investment. And with that, Rie, why don't I let you take over with some of the Microsoft stuff?
Okay. You should be able to share my screen, although it's just black.
Yeah, I think it's coming.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. So Steve, I think what we agreed is that I'll run through a lot of what our sessions are in Microsoft's, how we're plugging into AI, how we're bringing that to your database and analytics world, and then we'll transition back out of that. You'll see I have a footnote about some community sessions that are happening, and so that's how you'll know. So let's just go ahead and dive into
Okay.
this. So AI is shifting everything, right? So for every device, all of your job functions, all of your technology, things are shifting to AI. And you may or may not appreciate that, right? So opportunity extends beyond the mobile app to include like every device, role function, and every industry. 87% of organizations believe that AI is going to give them a competitive edge, and they're not wrong. It'll just depend on how they utilize AI and how they plug it into their business or plug their business into AI. And so that's where the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform comes into play. So the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform is An end-to-end solution that helps organizations leverage the power of data and gain insights to drive innovation, enhance client experiences, improve business outcomes. So the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform is kind of like a big bucket of a variety of solutions that are natively integrated to help you do your job. So this means establish a future-proof platform that connects all of your data, support high-end performance, apps of any scale, understand customer behavior, and then use those to generate insights to improve your business, power next-generation AI experiences, discover, protect, control your data. Super important, right? I often make the correlation that data is the new oil, and it's where your company is going to get the next piece of value, and you as a data professional are an integral part in how that's going to work. So with the recent launch of Microsoft Fabric, we have embraced an end-to-end unified analytics platform that brings together all of the data and the analytics tools that organizations need. Satya Nadella phrased it, that said that Fabric is the biggest launch of a data product from Microsoft since the launch of SQL Server. And being a SQL Server DBA by trade, it's kind of a big deal to me, right? To think about that. So taking advantage of a single, easy to manage, unified business model, Fabric brings together everything an organization needs for their analytic workloads. So whether you're creating data pipelines or building machine learning models, you can use the same pool of compute power to power all of your workloads automatically. You'll hear a lot of people refer to Fabric as analytics in the era of AI. So it kind of plugs into everything we're doing these days. So Fabric enables customers to unify their data estate in a variety of ways. So first, it's a complete analytics platform. It works against a governed data estate across your organization. Customers can responsibly connect people and data using open, scalable solutions. That comes with built-in security, governance, and compliance. Fabric establishes an open and a lake-centric hub that helps data engineers connect and curate data from different sources. Third, Fabric empowers everyone in the business, all across the business, right? Customers can innovate faster by helping every person in the organization get insights from their data and then take action on it. And so this happens across the M365 application platform and beyond. And finally, Fabric helps manage and power AI models. So customers can accelerate analysis by developing AI models on a single foundation without any data movement, right? So you're saving all that time because you're not moving things from place to place. Fabric just kind of goes and gets it where it is in real time. And I think if some of you think about the size of some of the data that you deal with in your day-to-day life and how frequently you're waiting for it to return something or to move something or to pull it from here and join it, over time, I think that really, really starts to add up. So if you put all of this together, you get a single AI-powered platform that's purpose-built to help customers unify their data estate, to build powerful AI models, and then put insights into people's hands. So you can do things like use Copilot to design and configure the right services for your application or your environment. You can operate Copilot to answer questions, to pull back data using natural language. And I'll touch on that in one of the sessions we're going to talk about in a minute. You can use Copilot to optimize, right? So optimization means improving costs, scalability, security, reliability, through the recommendations that our AI is going to make about how you engage with your data. And then last, you can troubleshoot across your Azure data landscape, summarizing issues, identifying root causes, and suggest solutions. databases today come with new requirements, right? Your role as the DBA is changing. And it's not going away. I don't want to pretend it's going away. And I hate it when I hear people say it's going away, because it's really, really not. Not everybody can do what you do. You have a refined set of skills. And the way that I've always found that the way DBAs approach problems, some problems anyway, is superior to the way, we all think in set logic. We solve large problems. We look at the full length of the field or the battlefield or whatever. And so that you have to be able to bring that into this new era of analytics and AI. And so the Azure SQL team is preparing a great lineup of some product announcements for you, and new technologies. Innovation continues to be a big theme as we move through the conference season. And we're prepared to showcase some exciting stuff with SQL data and generative AI. And an ideal starting point for this new generation of AI-ready SQL apps is Azure SQL Database, which is a fully managed platform as a service. And that's going to free developers and DBAs to focus on innovation. So Microsoft is introducing what they call a new era of cloud scale databases. And so this is an era where databases are built and tuned for generative AI applications with hyperscale performance, built-in intelligence, Copilot assistance, in database vector search, which there's a session on, and Azure AI search integration. All of these things make application development a whole lot easier. This new era of databases is where your on-premises investments and experience extend to the cloud. Manages services do more for you, do more for your workloads, and are modernized for the next stage of your company's growth and your career growth. Direct integration into cloud scale analytics is going to accelerate business decisions, while simplified and intelligent security solutions protect your data across all layers. So one of our goals is to harness the power of integration and Azure Database's fully managed capabilities, which is another thing that frees up DBA's times. I think we'll touch on that a little bit. Developers can transform applications that can run anywhere and run at any scale. And they can focus on what really matters, which is innovation. Let's see. So we're going to talk about some of the sessions that Microsoft has at past Data Community Summit here in, as Steve horrifyingly reminded me, is in 3 short weeks.
Yes.
I feel like I feel like it should be further away, right?
Right.
It is knocking on my door. So first up is the SQL AI workshop, and this is with Bob Ward. And I think Moazma Zahid and Davide Mora are presenting with him. This is where you're going to learn the fundamentals of generative AI, how to apply it to your data, how AI integrates SQL Edge to the cloud. You're going to learn some concepts like language models, prompt engineering, retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. You'll hear a lot of people just call it RAG and not explain it. That's a pet peeve of mine. Vectors and embedding, they're going to talk about. You're going to learn how to use the Microsoft Copilot experience to build SQL applications and to manage or troubleshoot your SQL deployments. I saw Bob and Moazma and Davide do some demos of this, and absolutely blown away, right? Have you had any chance to spend any time with us at all, Steve, with Copilot in SQL?
I've done a little bit, but I've also, Bob and I have seen each other quite a few times over the last 6 months. And I've watched him do pieces of what will be in here. It's always very impressive, and it makes you think about how the world is changing.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago in Boston, he actually did a pre-con where he had some things, not all of this, but some things in there. I talked to people that went there, and they were just amazed, like the way that they look at AI after seeing somebody do some practical things is amazing.
It's That's a great way to put that, actually. Like you think, oh, AI is this thing that other people do out there. It's
Yeah.
about to not be out there,
Yeah.
right?
I
It's
mean, it's way
that
more than ChatGPT, which is what most people think. Way more.
absolutely. To what you have to watch, you have to see Bob use, I think it's Bob's, use like some natural language to get information out of a database,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And don't be afraid. It's not, you still have to
Yeah.
look at the code. You still have to read the code and know what you're doing. And you still, even when AI brings you something back, you still need a human being to validate it to make sure that it's interpreting the data right, especially like reporting and analytics and stuff. But it's
Yeah.
it's going to make your life a whole lot easier, make you better at your job.
It
Let's
really
see.
is. And as Bob has said
Yeah.
multiple times, it's a co-pilot, not a pilot, right? So that
Mhm.
it would be like you ask a friend to go do something. You may have to answer other questions. You may have to double check their work. You may have to review what they give you before you pass it on. And
Right.
that's really where the AI thing starts to help you.
Hmm. Yeah. So Sharish Thoda, who is my one of my VPs in Azure Data, he's going to kick things off with a keynote, and that keynote is entitled "Fuel Innovation in Azure Databases." So this is what they gave me to help me understand what his keynote was going to be about. So first of all, it's important to know that Sharish Thoda's ecosystem in Azure Data is all things database, right? So that means Azure SQL Database on-prem, hybrid, and cloud, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Postgres SQL, and MySQL. And so the presentation is going to be Sharish and the Microsoft engineering team talking about harnessing the power of data across the Azure Databases portfolio, driving groundbreaking enhancements. So take your first step on the journey with vector search, multi-agent apps, and more. Learn to unlock new patterns like retrieval augmented generation or RAG. Explore the latest database innovations in SQL Server, Azure SQL, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Database for Postgres, and Azure Database for MySQL, a mouthful, that enhance operational efficiency, deliver personalized user experience, and revolutionize the way we interact with technology. One of the things that I always love about the keynotes at PASS is there's always these little buried moments where you see something for the first time, right? And sometimes like only part of the audience goes, wait, what was that? Like that's going to change. And then sometimes it's everybody in the audience all at once has that moment of it can do that, right? So I'm looking forward to what those moments are going to be this year as we
Yeah.
learn more details about this. There is a learning pathway that is Microsoft, and it is specifically about becoming an Azure SQL DBA. And I'm so thrilled that this learning pathway is happening. Um, when I was speaking more than just engaging the community, I did a whole session on upskilling your on-prem skills to Azure SQL. Because, before I started this job, I was a director of database management for a large payment processing firm. And one of my concerns as a manager was, is my team going to have the skill set required to go to the cloud, right? That they're very good at the on-prem world. And I knew that they knew the steps to the dance. But what's going to happen in a few months when we've migrated to the cloud, and if something happens, does my team have the skill set that they need to deal with it? And so I created this session to A, in a way, learn about it, B, now teach people about it, about how many of your skills transition to Azure SQL, but as well as how many of them don't need to, right? Because there's so many things that Microsoft manages for you, frees you up as the DBA to focus on other things. So this entire series maps your on-premise responsibilities to a DBA cloud role. So it's going to help you learn what stays, what goes, what Microsoft does for you, and then where you can now better spend your time. The first one to come up is the high availability and business continuity disaster recovery. section of that. And so this will help you evolve your Azure SQL DBA skills in the domain of high availability, HA, business continued disaster recovery, usually referred to as BCDR. And this is from the perspective of an on-prem DBA. So how is that going to change as you migrate to the cloud? Second one, security, compliance, threats, and connectivity. This will help you evolve your SQL DBA skills in the domain of security, compliance, and authentication, connectivity. And again, from the perspective of an on-prem DBA that is now supporting an Azure SQL environment. So the performance tuning and alerting session, I think, is probably going to be super, super popular. You know, the Steve sessions at PASS, when they talk about optimization, quite often there's a line out the door, right? Those are the ones that need to be in the big room. They fill. Let me stress this. In the cloud, once you're on Azure SQL, you as a DBA, performance and optimization is a quantifiable portion of your job, right? Yeah. Think about that, right? So you tuning a query saves your company money, right? Yep. File that away, get a baseline before you go working, right? Fix that query, tune it, and then put that in your review, right? Career advice that you didn't expect today. So, but this performance tuning and alerting session covers performance monitoring, troubleshooting, tuning, and alerting specific to Azure SQL. You'll learn how to use Cloud Native DB Watcher monitoring solution and query performance insights to monitor and identify database performance. You'll learn about automated tuning, automated plan regression correction, and using resource health. So this is where I talked earlier about all these different tools that Azure SQL presents to you that help make your job easier. These performance insights are like, hey, we saw this query. Here's how we think you should make some corrections. And there are a few different things where you can set them to, just go ahead and make that correction. But there are opportunities that we will present to you that you have to know your business better, right? You have to know not to make that change because you know what kind of activity actually goes on. So don't always just turn those on. Just like don't go pull code down from the internet and run it on your system. Look it over first, right? Double check to make sure that works for you. But this particular session, the performance tuning and alerting, is going to show you a lot of the tools that help your database be smarter on the back end. And whether that's presented to you as AI, it's what it is, right? It's just learning in the background without you calling it a Copilot. And then finally, from basics to Microsoft Copilot. So this is going to teach you how to learn or to master all of the myriad of services and functionality to your advantage when you're integrating with other Azure services, right? So Data Lake and Fabric, when you're leveraging the power of AI using Copilot. And I think I touched on this earlier about using Copilot to design and configure the right services for your application environment, answer questions, operate, using natural language to optimize, so improving cost, scalability, and reliability. So that if you have the opportunity and you're attending PASS, that learning pathway, I think, is going to be super, super valuable to you. So and
just to note, right, that pathway, it's across 2 days. So it says Wednesday times, but it's Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, did it? Oh, sorry. So you see where it says November 7th?
Yeah.
I didn't change that to Thursday. That's a good catch, Steve. Thank you so much for that.
Still prepping for
the times are correct, though. I know that I got the times right.
Yeah.
I just changed it to the 7th. So good catch. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Absolutely right. Learn how to transition your job, because a lot of you have the skills, but you need to know what the new verbiage is, or how do I apply it slightly differently in the cloud. So
right. And keep in mind with SQL, it's still the same engine under the covers, right? The SQL engine that runs SQL Server on-prem, that runs SQL Server on an Azure VM, it's the same engine that runs SQL in Azure. So
Yeah.
all of that, everything that you know about the engine and how all these things work together, those transition, right? That knowledge doesn't go away and you will use it. You just might use it in a slightly different way. So
Right. And ask tons of questions, right? Because all those people have been in the industry doing the work you do.
and have done the transition, right?
Yeah.
They've made that transition from on-prem to Azure SQL. So they may or may not have felt as lost or as confident as you do as you make this journey. So and conferences like this are super, super important to skilling for the next step in your career to the what's next on the horizon in technology. It's all of it's concentrated in the same place, right? Versus
Yeah.
you trying to pick apart a bunch of different webinars and figure out what message is important
Right.
to
And
what's next
you'll
on
hear
the
other
roadmap.
people's advice, which will help you as well, right? Learn
Mhm,
things you didn't think of. So with
mhm.
new technology, right? AI is a big deal here. You've got lots of AI coming.
We do. So AI integrations for your Azure SQL databases are pretty amazing. Every single time I see one of these sessions, I learn something new. I sit there for a second with my mouth hanging open when I've watched what they've done. So with RAG, you can bridge structured data with generative AI, enhance natural language queries across applications. Bob, Davide, Mawasma have fantastic examples of um, how they're querying things, using it to write code, transition code from, I'm trying to remember if it goes from, and maybe you'll know, Steve, if you saw the session where he goes, oh, I'm old school, I'll do, C# or C++. No, never mind, I want to see it in Python. And
Yeah.
he shows in real time AI going, oh, cool, gotcha. Let me change this
Yeah.
to Python. And
Right.
since I don't write Python, that would work super,
Yeah.
super well for me. That would be, then I wouldn't ever have to learn that skill set, right? So
Well, some of you like probably do some PowerShell, right? And I've
oh,
seen
oh no, don't say that.
from Bash to PowerShell, which is a fantastic transition.
Oh,
Amazing Unix and Linux code out there that we
right.
can't do, right? And so having you convert that to PowerShell is amazing.
So I don't know if you know that I'm allergic to PowerShell. Like I'm
Hey, not know.
I'm allergic. I get hives. I'm allergic to PowerShell. And I admire the people who have mastered it. So um, some of these sessions that you see here are gonna show you what they call advanced vector-based semantic search, right? So, and you're gonna use this, like you can discover precise insights that are tailored to your data, right? So data's the new oil, turning that data into information, turning that information into profit for your company, because knowledge is power, right? So Copilot in Azure streamlines troubleshooting. You'll see some examples of where they use AI and Copilot um, to troubleshoot issues, right? So this query, this job's failing, this query is running slowly, something's changed on the back end. They'll use Copilot to speed up how quickly they get to resolution and show you how you get to do that too. They use it to troubleshoot even your T-SQL queries, optimize workflows. You can personalize responses, and just really unlock a lot of SQL um, inefficiencies, turn those into efficiencies. So the close integration between Azure OpenAI, Azure AI Search, and Azure SQL Database drive powerful new use cases, right? So uh, all of you go out and do a quick search for Azure SQL cognitive search integrated vectorization. Like we should put that in the chat, right?
That's a
um,
mouthful.
right? Um, and so that is in my notes, by the way. Azure SQL cognitive search integrated vectorization. Um, and then that is like sample notebooks of um, some stuff that people have done with it. But it shows how built-in AI tool and support can make it easier to build intelligent applications using Azure SQL database. So just a great sample for you to go and learn about integrated vector searches and things like that, just on your own. Um, uh, the AI Elastic Pools session, and then the what is it? I can't see my slide. Hybrid environments using Azure SQL. All of those integrate, Copilot AI. All of that's just kind of woven into the session because that's where we are these days, right? That's
Yeah.
where that's where we're changing things. So there's one of these sessions talks about or will help you um, using Azure SQL Database and Azure AI Search to train large language models on your data. And then implement RAG. That's going to come up over and over, RAG patterns. You can run chat models on your data, analyze things faster, more accurately. All of these different tools help developers and DBAs make the most of this brave new world that is AI in databases and Microsoft Copilot in Azure SQL. It's just really important that you develop some skills. Um, all of these skills that it really is important for you to learn um, are going to benefit you in your job, right? They're going to help you resolve issues more quickly than you would before and get on to, get onto the business. So optimizing performance again, make sure you get a baseline before you
Yeah.
start optimizing things. Fix it. I'm telling you, I have, as a manager, I put that into people's review more often than not. Hey, they worked on this project, they did this thing. Here's the cost savings that we saw as a result. So it makes it a lot harder for upper management to say no, they don't deserve a raise this year. So uh, the Azure SQL team is working a lot harder, a lot more closely with developers, trying to attract developers, to listen to them, to give them the tools that they need to do their job and to build great apps against Azure SQL. So, and then we're going to transition into here, these community sessions and not AI sessions. Power hours happening at past Data Community Summit again. And so if you have never attended a power hour, you need to. What is it that they say? If you learn anything during this session, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It is just a super, super fun way to spend an hour-ish, and you'll see great examples of great technology just presented in the most entertaining way, and you might get hit in the head with some swag. So hopefully it's soft swag.
Yeah.
There is a Microsoft Fabric section that Ross Power is doing for us. And it's the future of Microsoft Fabric. It explains how it's an all-in-one analytics solution that incorporates, um, Data Factory, Power BI, Synapse, real-time intelligence, different data integrations, and all the stuff that falls under it. So that particular session, if you're interested in learning more about Microsoft Fabric and what it is and what's next for it and what it does and what the roadmap is and everything, this session, what's next for Microsoft Fabric, is the one that you shouldn't miss if you're kind of like, what is this Microsoft Fabric thing? And then because I do community and I love community and I love these professional development and soft skill sessions, I wanted to make sure that I put on the slide here the benefits of active community engagement. Ben Weissman and some other people will be talking about the value of community. And if you are enjoying yourself at past Community Summit and want to take a little bit of that home with you, and keep that going before the next year, you're going to want to attend this session. And then Jess Chapman is doing the Women in Tech Luncheon, all about amplifying your voice as a woman in IT. And so that is the end of my slide deck. We can hand everything back over to you, and
Sure.
I will let you drive now.
All right. Well, let me grab this. So, some interesting things there, Ree, with you, right? Like as part of the descriptions, everything with AI is helping you do your job, right? It's not doing your job
Mhm.
for you, doing it
Mm-mm.
to help, right? Like the performance thing is super interesting because like Erin can do all that work. She's done that stuff before, but she's using AI to be more efficient, right? Go faster. And I think that's where a lot of people get scared of AI and they don't think about it. They think we don't need a DBA, right? I don't need a developer anymore. But that's not true, right? That AI really is an assistant helping you do your job better in the future. And it's neat to see all the examples. And I think if there's one piece of advice I give you, it's go watch people use AI to do things because that helps you
Mhm.
figure out how you can do that stuff.
I,
Right. I'm sure.
that is, yeah, super, super accurate to watch all these different examples of how they incorporate Copilot and AI into what it is that as a DBA I would do every day. You're like, oh, I'm gonna need to try that. Like just let me just to see, just dip your toe in the water, right? You don't have to like jump all in and make it iRobot, but um you definitely should dip
You
your
should,
toe in the pool.
yeah, and if you are an Azure customer or Fabric or anything else, you ought to try the Copilot stuff because you, you have to just try some of it, but also I think you have to just go look for examples of how people use it so that you better understand it. Because ChatGPT is the most visible, but the smallest part of AI that's out there, right? Like if you go look at some of the examples of what people do, it's kind of amazing to watch people use smaller models to use RAG, right? So RAG often is taking some information along with the question you've asked to try to figure out what answer to give you back. Um, there's some neat stuff available there, and I'm excited to see what demos will be because there's very creative people at Microsoft that come up with some neat demos.
Mhm.
It's really exciting. I've seen a few questions come through. I think some of these are fairly technical and
Yeah.
maybe not worth covering here. Get some
Yeah.
responses. Um, One thing I would say, right? Somebody asked a question about how accurate are AI responses to code review in T-SQL.
Hmm.
I would ask you back the question: how accurate are your coworkers' responses? Right? Because I wouldn't expect the machine to be an expert, right? Like if your coworker is it's been gone, AI is not going to be as good as the response you'll get from him, right? Or
Right.
Bob Ward probably, but
I
it might,
think I would have to say, I'm not sure if I even understand the question. So, how accurate can AI's responses be when requesting code reviews? So, um, if you're asking AI or Copilot or whatever to like, hey, go take a look at my T-SQL code, and you're asking it to determine for you if you're going to get the data returned that you think you're going to get, you're doing that wrong, right? But it's going to tell you, it's going to help you optimize the code. Maybe it's got a more creative way to write those joins or that where clause or pull the data, and so those kind of recommendations and integrations, I would say, would be very accurate, right? Because it's going to have insight into the back end on what's indexed, what's optimized, and how these different pieces come together. Um, Depending on what you asked as to whether or not you're asking, is this data set accurate?
yeah.
I don't know that I know the answer to that one, or if that's even the right question,
Yeah, I mean, I
right?
certainly understand that data is difficult because we make those mistakes all the time. Like we train the AI, the AI is trained on what we do. So if we don't understand it, wouldn't I think what Reese said, right? Like it does give you better suggestions than the average developer would, right? It may not be the best suggestions, but they'll be good and they will help. They'll at least get you to think, and you still have to test, right? You still have to test your code. I was just looking to see if there's anything I you could ask AI to summarize something in your data. You certainly could. Like that's an interesting question. Can I ask AI to write me a query to summarize something? You can, but how well can you describe that, right? Like what if part of AI is natural language? How well do you describe that to a coworker? Right. The more that I think
Hmm.
about how I interact with coworkers, the more it helps me understand how I interact with AI. And the quality of what I get back sometimes depends on how well I am at expressing what I would like. and that is a difficult skill for many people.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
somebody,
so
go
I,
ahead.
I want to address something that's here in the chat. It says, so there's nothing for us on-premises folks. When is Copilot coming to SSMS? When is AI coming to SQL Prompt? So first of all, the whole point of this webinar is about Microsoft AI and its presence at past community summit. So I'm not touching on today on the on-premises stuff. If you're talking about Copilot for SSMS or anything like that, when any particular product or feature or anything is coming to any Microsoft product, I would not be the person who would announce it. And I can't even answer roadmap questions because as
Yeah,
I'm rolling through my head, I'm like, how, if we are working on that, are we actually working on that? Or we're just talking about that? Is it already on the roadmap? Am I allowed to talk about any of it? And because I'm not sure about any of it, I can't even answer that. But everything today was about AI, how it's plugging into just the sessions that we're and what we're bringing to past summit. So product announcements, this isn't today.
no. So Prompt has AI in it, kind of beta testing. You can sign up. As far as SSMS, you should make an item on
Yeah.
feedback.azure.com, right? Is that the right URL? I
I
think
think you could do aka.ms/SQL feedback, get you to the same
feedback,
place.
yeah. So you should go there.
Aaron Stellato will have tweeted the link. Like go
Yeah.
find Aaron Stellato on Twitter. She will have tweeted the link because she absolutely 100% listens to your feedback.
Yes. And vote for it. Like there's items on there,
Yeah.
just vote for it because that helps Microsoft or Redgate
Hmm.
determine where we put resources because we have
Yeah.
no shortage of things to work on and we never have enough people. So we have to prioritize. So vote for that. As far as the on-premise stuff, a lot of the stuff happening in the cloud, like the concepts are the same. So when they talk performance tuning, the concept is the same. They
Hmm.
may show you a way to do it in the cloud with a tool, but you would do a very similar thing on premise. So
Hmm.
I think, right, we've had decades of information on how to do things on premise. The way we do the things on premise, we do it in the cloud almost the same way. Sometimes we click in a different place or the verbiage is slightly different, but it's the same thing.
Right.
So um, because so many people are transitioning to cloud, like Rie, I don't know about from your side, but from our side, we see a ton of people transitioning to cloud. You know, almost everybody is transitioning in some way.
I think I think we're probably seeing more hybrid environments, right?
More
That
hybrid for sure.
they have on-prem, like people aren't going to ever go completely to the cloud, maybe, right? But they have
Uh,
this hybrid environment, so they need to have like some kind of SQL on the edge, that balances between the two. So there are probably some Azure Arc sessions at past summit that would be a great fit for the people who need to transition, right?
yeah. I mean, I would say, right, from our surveys and research, we see about 18% completely in the cloud. Like I was just in Australia this year and there was a
Mhm.
very large insurance company that was completely moving to the cloud. Um,
Really
yeah, we see about 12%, I think, completely on premises
nice.
for different reasons, right? But they
Hmm.
just, and
Hmm.
so that hybrid is in that 70 some percent for sure. But
Yeah.
that also means, right, that's 88% or so are in the cloud in some way.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be upset and say, I just want to see things on premise, but that's just not the state of the world, right? The vast majority of us have to deal with the cloud.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
it. There's
So,
one last question, I think. Oh,
mhm.
go ahead, Ray, go ahead.
I wanted there is a question in here. Are you saying that I could even ask the AI to write me a query to say, summarize something in my data? Not just ask for the summary, but show me the query that performs the summary? Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
exactly what it does.
yeah. Like
Okay,
if you,
now what were you going to say? Sorry.
no, no. Well, like if you, I think there's the Copilot in Power BI. If you say, summarize this
Mhm.
field and group by this field, right, or analyze by this, it will write that query for you
Right.
and give you the results. So
Same thing though with Copilot and SQL.
yeah, Copilot and SQL as well. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of amazing. All right. Is it more likely AI will replace humans than a system? somebody's been watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, I think.
I was thinking the Matrix, but
Matrix, yeah, yeah, it could be a
yeah,
Matrix.
we're all going to become batteries. Um, how many decades old is that movie though? That I just.
Oh, 99, because I saw it when I first came to Denver.
Oh, nice. So AI is not going to replace humans.
No.
Not gonna, I mean, it'll probably replace some job functions, but I don't think it's going to replace
Yeah,
people.
here's what I'd say, right? AI is it's a new technology and most of us don't understand it well, how to use it. But like any technology, it's a lever that
Hmm.
lets you move things that you couldn't otherwise move, right? So you can get more done with AI than you could without AI.
Hmm.
I think if your job is very not value added, if you're used to going in and checking the status of backups and looking at logs and you're not doing a lot of creative thought work, you might be in trouble. But if you have to think about how to performance tune things, if you have to be creative in how do I assemble services together, how do I manage HA and DR and those things, it will help you get better at your job. And
Yeah,
honestly, let me ask you this: how many people you know that don't have enough work to fill their week?
not a lot. I mean, everybody has, right? Everybody has
Overloaded. Well,
way too much to do.
I'm
Yeah.
overloaded.
Uh-huh.
You need more time, and that is
Hmm.
what AI is, more time.
Hmm.
And that's where I think you have to approach it with the idea that I need this thing to save me time because there are no shortage of people asking me to do stuff like read. Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
amazing if you could say, PowerPoint, would you please check the dates and the of my
Go
job?
out to the, I should have, go out to the website and
Yeah, right.
check,
Because but
double
that's
check.
exactly what we're used to doing.
Yeah.
And at some point, we'll just say, would you please review this for accuracy? And between going out with RAG to look at stuff that's stored in the database or stored on the website and
Hmm.
knowing that dates and times have, or days and dates have a correlation, it could
Hmm.
find that kind of stuff, right? The kind of thing that you and I would just miss because we're busy, right? So it doesn't take our job, but it helps our job.
Yeah. I'm busy. I mean, I was like, when they said, "Hey, are you ready to go?" I was like, "Give me 30 seconds." It's because I was still working on the slide deck. And I hate it when people do that. I hate it. I hate it when people like don't have everything ready to go, but things were still changing. Right. So I was like, "Oh, wait, I found something. I need to add a note." So yeah, AI could have, AI can build a slide deck for you.
It can, right? Like I use the
But
designer all the time.
well, so not even just the designer, there are AI tools out there. You can be like, build me a slide deck on so and so, but I'll caution you, um, AI is in a lot of cases pulling things from other sources, right, to create this PowerPoint deck for you to go out and build a session. It's getting it somewhere. Make sure that you're not stealing somebody's work,
Right.
right? It's pulling because odds are good, somebody who built that session will come to yours and they'll
But
be
you
like,
can
oh, wait, slide
give
four.
give it an outline information and it will use that
Mhm.
stuff better.
Yeah.
So, right, like you have to still remember this is helping you and you have to, review it and test it. Please test your code. Please review slide decks, all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
all right, I think we're getting to the end. Last question,
Okay.
somebody was asking about the price of pass. There's a price bump next week on the 23rd. I don't know what day the 20th. I think it's next week. Um, so you can save $300 if you buy before
That's
then.
Wednesday. The 23rd is Wednesday. That one I got right.
Yeah. And then the current price is 22.95 for the admission. And then it's in Seattle, so travel and hotels in Seattle.
Hmm.
There are discounts on hotels, but Seattle is an expensive city, so just be aware.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we are giving away a winner a ticket to this thing. And so Tom Muehlner, I know Tom. Tom, congratulations. You win a 3-day ticket to the summit this year. We'll get you an email on how you register with a code to go for free. So hopefully you can come and please grab me somewhere or grab Ree and say hello when you're there. We'd love to see you. And with that, there's the price bump right there next week, $300 going up. That is the new Seattle Convention Center. The Summit building is a few blocks from the old one. Microsoft used this for Ignite, I think last year. Ree, is that
Hmm.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I barely walked through it when it was
Hmm.
just open a couple years ago, but I'm excited to see it.
It's
So
gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I've heard.
Although somebody last night called it an aquarium.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and I can't unsee it. Because when it's
Maybe.
lit up at night, like when
Yeah.
it's lit up and you're outside, yeah, aquarium. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's a gorgeous, gorgeous space. Easy to navigate. Everything's kind of tightly contained with big, super big, escalators to get you or elevators to get you all back and forth. It's
Yeah.
it's a great conference space.
I'm looking forward to it. I got to go in the lobby, I think 2 years ago. They just opened it briefly for something, and I just kind of saw that
Hmm.
first lobby. Looks amazing. Um,
Hmm.
if you haven't registered, there's a code Azure 150. You can register today and get $150 off, and that's $450 if you do it before next Wednesday off the full price. And then there are some virtual options. So there will be some live streaming of some sessions. The keynotes will be live streamed. So certainly the Microsoft keynote on Wednesday, the 6th, and Thursday, the 7th, the Redgate keynote will be live streamed. So please watch those, right, if you can't come. And then there is on-demand access available after the event. So if you register, you get it, and I think you can purchase it separately as well. So please feel free to do that. And then to the question we do have AI and prompt. It's helpful, but again, it's an assistant. It doesn't do the work for you. It just gives you some ideas and things. So please feel free to check it out and check out some of the stuff with Copilot as well. Either I just published a blog or I have one coming on how it actually helped me SQL Saturday updates. And it
Hmm.
was helpful. It was kind of amazing how I was putting something together and all of a sudden Copilot was like, hey, do you want me to do all this code for you? And I was like, oh, yes, please. That's amazing. It was very helpful.
Dear
So
Copilot, do my homework.
no, I was starting to do some coding and it did it for me. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to use this. Like, right. It saved me 10 minutes, but right. For you and I, 10 minutes can be a lot sometimes. It's a huge amount of time. So it's incredible. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Hopefully you've enjoyed the webinar. If you've got questions, please feel free to send them. We'll get some answers to those other questions. Just email them out to people so you have them. And other than that, Ray, hopefully I will see you soon. And
Absolutely.
you have a good few weeks as you prep for the summit and all and Ignite and everything else that's happening next month for you.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of things in the works for Ignite. So I actually own the community hub all up. So for all the work streams, not just data. So
Uh,
lots to
so,
do.
so you have another 5 or 6 weeks of solid work to do.
I do. I do. Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for attending. If you see us somewhere, please say hi. And otherwise, have a great day.